Okay, well, here we have Phantasms. Okay, so this is an episode that has certain things that I think would actually be fun as I guess you could say, problem for players to overcome. Unfortunately, it's a data-centric episode, so you would have to, in my opinion, it would be best, I guess is a better way to put it, in my opinion, it would be best to decouple it from the data stuff because unless you're going to write a story that has a certain type android in it, you just can't use any of that. And yeah. So, what do we have in the episode? Well, this episode has a bunch of minor crew people who, some of them are recurring characters that have been in many episodes. Others are one-off characters, or in this weird case, the character is mentioned by name in this episode and shows up on screen later in a movie. Does not actually get seated this episode. Whatever. Anyways, from a TTRPG perspective, I would actually consider it to be an appearance because when dealing with players, it's a simple matter of whether the players decide they want to go meet her or not. Anyway, so yeah, several more. Like I said, some of these are recurring background characters that have been in a lot of episodes. And then you have this guy who is a non-evil admiral, but someone Picard wants to avoid anyways because, well, Picard seems to consider his company to be boring and a waste of time. Tragic. Also, 3-star admirals, so yeah. Must be someone firmly embedded in the bureaucracy. Like, really, really firmly embedded in the bureaucracy. Also, shows up in more than one episode. In more than one uniform, too. This was a weird one. Very strange uniform. So, what is the hazard of the week? Well, you see, the Enterprise recently acquired a new plasma conduit attached to the warp core that was constructed using an interphasic fusion process. I'm just going to leave it up to your imagination what that actually entails because it's technobabble. And I don't think the episode actually went into it all that much. This manufacturing technobabble is used as the explanation for how the interphasic organisms got on board the Enterprise. You see, they were attracted to whatever this fusion process was, crawled inside the new plasma conduit, and then after the plasma conduit was installed on the ship and they turned it on, the organisms left the plasma conduit because having energy forced through it for regular usage was not something they liked being exposed to. So they started wandering around the ship and started parasitizing people. Oh yeah, I should get on with that. So yeah, being an interphasic scanner. Thing is, this is one of those things where I don't really understand why Federation technology is so awkward at detecting this sort of thing, because this isn't the only time that the interphasic technobabble gets brought up. And quite frankly, as dangerous as interphasic instabilities can be, one would think that they would have the ability to scan the ship for interphasic instabilities, but they seemingly don't. The plot seems to dictate that interphasic stuff is something so weird and out of the ordinary and difficult to scan for that you need special tools to look for it. I personally think it sounds dumb. It's the sort of thing that since you need special tools to scan for it, it would be prudent to acquire tools that can let you scan the entire ship. But also, yeah, that logic would also make it so that, the plasma conduit would get scanned to make sure that its manufacturer didn't produce any defects or flaws. Because let's face it, a plasma conduit rupturing because it was a fracture not visible to the naked eye. That's would be horrible, especially if it's attached to a warp core. But anyways, so again, those are things where you can make a logical argument for why it's a dumb plot idea, but the storyline dictates that even if the plot idea seems dumb, there are in-universe reasons why people are stuck with it. So, because as it says here, it's just, not something their normal sensors can do. Why that is, insert techno babble here. Anyways, moving on. So, what are interphasic organisms and what makes them so dangerous? Well, they eat people. Yeah. Okay, see, this is the origin of the cellular peptide cake meme, is that cellular peptides are literally what they're sucking out of people. So they're just like eating people a head full of proteins at a time. And they're these weird, unintelligent parasites where no one feels bad about killing them in mass. Now, I can see a logic why someone would want to study life forms that exist in an interphasic state, because of the fact that, finding ways to better detect them and more easily and, protect yourself from them would be useful, it would seem, yes. Anyway, though, also, what exactly is a high-frequency interphasic signature? And why do you need to rewire Data's brain to make one? Seriously, that was the dumbest part of the entire episode. They killed the things by using Data's internal components as part of a space magic ritual. Hated that. Now, having people do some sort of like science the tech thing to find a way to destroy them makes sense. It's using parts of Data's brain that's just like, huh? Anyways, though. Anyways, also, it's like, why exactly do they not have any other equipment on the ship capable of being modified to make this? Because again, while these creatures are a imminent threat, it's a slow death being exposed to these things, not a quick death. So while killing them sooner rather than later is a good idea, you don't have to kill them within the next 5 minutes. Killing them within the next hour would be good, better than, waiting 5 hours. But again, not exactly an immediate life or death scenario. So yeah, I don't really. I've never understood the logic behind needing to use Data's positronic subprocessor to kill the freaking things. Makes more sense for them to do some sort of, you know, gadget. There are multiple episodes where the people have dismantled phasers and rewired them to do things that they didn't normally do. Because like they have a gadget that scans them and emits a energy form that will actually make them visible to the naked eye, even though they're normally invisible. Like, see, that's like revealed by an interphasic scanner. Yeah, this is the one that was parasitizing Deanna Troy. So, you can do that. Why can't you, wire the device to kill them? Yeah. Anyway, so there is one other aspect of the episode that's interesting. The whole Dreamland thing. Like I said earlier, it's been memed all over the internet ever since it came out. The people who made this episode came up with some really, really weird ideas. Like the fact that Data's dreams caused Data to actually physically attack Deanna Troy. Huh. That's a behind the scenes picture. Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. Anyway, though, the Dreamland scenario thing was actually a pretty cool idea. Oh, also, yeah, I forgot to mention something. Thanatos 7. One thing about this planet that's barely mentioned, it's categorized as a Federation member world, not a colony world, a member world, which suggests that it has a native population. That's all we know about the place. It's listed as the origin of the plasma conduit. Why and how they already have these interphasic organisms in that solar system? Because like that's the thing about this that's interesting, is that it lists the methodology of manufacture as the reason why the organisms were attracted, but it doesn't actually ever say where the freaking things came from. Did they come from the planet Thanatos? Did they come from somewhere in the Thanatos system that's not Thanatos 7? Or did they just like randomly ooze out of deep space because the plasma conduit looked juicy? Actually, wait, no. We know that after the plasma conduit was installed, the first time it was turned on after it was installed, the organisms were already infesting it. So we know that the organisms do in fact have an origin that was relatively early in the lifespan of that plasma conduit. So before the plasma conduit was installed in the Enterprise, it was infested with the interphasic organisms. Don't know exactly how it got infested or where the organisms came from. And that is probably what would be the most interesting thing you could do with the interphasic organisms, is have the players try to figure out where the things came from. Because let's face it, their methodology of feeding suggests that they are parasitic life forms, but parasitic life forms that normally feed on what and where? They didn't come from nowhere. They are despite being weird and outside normal biology, they have a kind of abnormal biology that they follow because they are eating. They're parasites in the traditional sense because they're eating part of their victims, even if it's something that's weird sci-fi sort of eating things. They are still doing it, and also they're functionally intangible because they're outside three-dimensional space or some weird nonsense like that. Like, yeah, interface is kind of sort of like uh, on the verge of being in a different um, three-dimensional universe or something like that. Because, uh, yeah, interface has been brought up several times in Star Trek, and the term interface, as used in Star Trek, typically gets used to mean something that is not fully inside three-dimensional space as we know it. And you know what? Exploring that sort of thing sounds like a lot of fun. And with that, I will bid you see you later.